Thought I was gonna go. I tore it up in the pro days. One of the best pro days. I mean, tore it up.
I was a good player, man. I just always kind of got shafted. I hate to be that guy, but
Interesting.
I know I haven't done one of these videos in almost 2.5 months, but that's changing today, because in this episode of BS Lying Tapes, I'll be doing a deep dive into Brendan Schaub's football career. As always, if you enjoyed my videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And before we get into the nitty gritty, I do want to say something to the folks that are going to comment on this video with something like, "But Dicey, Brendan Schaub is a highly successful mega superstar who played football in college and sniffed NFL. Stop being a hater. He's way more successful than you'll ever be." Oh my god, you know what? I never thought of it that way. Thank you so much. I'll end this video right now. Psych! First off, Chin, get off YouTube while on company time. Second, I'm actually doing the world a service here. In a time where people are so focused on hating each other over silly differences, I'm bringing them together. Regardless of your race, gender, or politics, we are all united over our shared dislike of Big Brown. This series particularly is about showing the youth what not to become. Don't be a disingenuous compulsive liar. Don't be a Brendan Schaub. Be better. But in all honesty, the whole reason I do this is because it's hilarious to me. I'm here for the lols, and because I think the Bapa verse is fascinating. It has so many characters and side stories. It's funnier and much more entertaining than any of the actual comedians out there. And there's literally so much canon content, which can be a barrier for some, and that's the barrier I try to break with my videos. I try to make the Bapaverse more accessible, so that when you get home from a hard day at work, you can crack open your Tiger Thick whiskey, put on your toe holds, and follow the Bapaverse through my videos. Anyways, stop derailing me, Chin. Let's get to the video. So as most of you know by now, Brendan Schaub lies a lot.
no, it's funny because I just thought Brendan Schaub was lying because Brendan lies a lot. So I thought Brendan had just made something up.
Some of his lies span over decades, so it gets hard to keep track of all the details, like him fabricating his football abilities, which spans back 17 years to his college days. He remixes his lies every few years, where even a Brendan Schaub historian such as myself can't keep track. But today, I'll try my best to set the record straight as to what the actual scoop is on Brenda's football career. Earlier in Brenda's fighting career, Mr. Schaub branded himself as a new breed of fighter due to his athletic background. He believed in it so much that he nicknamed himself as the Hybrid. On a quick side note, I just want to salute the person that updated Brendan Schaub's Wikipedia page to show Bapa as one of his nicknames. That's fucking hilarious. Now getting back on track, Brenda has a tendency of being loose with the truth. He regularly overstates his accomplishments, like when he claimed to bench 225 for 40.
Yeah, I did 225 40.
This tendency of over-exaggeration and lying also applies to his football career. Let's start by looking at his college days. He only got a scholarship during his last year at University of Colorado. During that season, these were his stats. He had 0 starts, he had 1 rush, and caught 3 balls in a primary role as a blocker. He had 6 special team points on the strength of 3 tackles, a knockdown block, a wedge break, and a blocked punt. So not really an NFL caliber player if I'm being honest, but let's watch him talk about it.
No, it's
You
not.
played football for 14 years.
Yep.
This is your dream, to play in the NFL.
Wait a minute. I thought his dream was to be the UFC heavyweight champion of the world.
You're going to become the UFC heavyweight champion of the world.
Or was it to be a comic?
All jokes aside, growing up, my heroes, Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, Robin Williams.
It's a lieception over here, bro.
This is your dream, to play in the NFL. And there's no question. I've talked to guys who played in the NFL, said you were good enough to play for sure. A guy from Denver was, you know, they've said you were good enough to play. No question, right?
Sources. Thought I was gonna go.
You did.
Had a great pro day. Great.
Oh, you
pro day.
did?
Number of scouts talked.
You went to the combine.
We went to the pro day, not the actual combine.
Okay, so what's the
So the combine where they invite, I forget how many players, like 75 of the top.
Oh, okay.
It's actually 335, and if he was a legit NFL hopeful, he would have been invited to the combine.
I tore it up in the pro days. One of the best pro days. I mean, tore it up.
Just you did everything that was asked of you.
Did my job.
You did your job.
And then some. So then I was like, man, it looks like I have a pretty good shot because these agents are telling me, like, you know, the Buffalo Bills and the Raiders. I'm like, shit, I'd be a Raider, you know. And so then draft day, I thought there's a chance, you know. And then I get there and it just breaks your heart.
Breaks your heart?
Oh,
it's your
dude.
whole life.
Oh, and then
especially when you know you're as good as those guys.
Well, yeah.
Especially when you know you're as good as those guys.
Well, yeah.
Especially when you know you're as good as those guys.
Well.
Does anyone else notice how he moves his body or changes his posture every time he queefs out a lie? And we actually have the numbers from his pro day, and they're not nearly as impressive as he makes them out to be. Like, even out of the 12 players he did the pro day workouts with, he was in the bottom half. So when he says that he had one of the best pro days, I'm not really sure if he just forgot or if he's lying. To me, it just doesn't make sense to lie about all of this verifiable stuff. He could easily get the credit of being a big athletic football player that was really good, just not good enough to turn pro. And that's not a knock. But the thing is, Bapa doesn't understand that. His ego has to be the best even though his talent can't back it up. And his lying ego gets worse, so bad that he actually blames politics for his lack of playing time and success.
Because in college, I was a good player, man. I just always kind of got shafted. I hate to be that guy. Even the offense coordinator, we had the big scrimmage where it's like, who does well in this based off your grading, that's who's going to be on the starting squad. And I scored one of the highest ratings. Like, I balled out, man. I remember the offense coordinator seeing me in the weight room the next morning. I'm sore. I'm working out 6 a.m. being like, I'm going to do it, man. This is it.
Needle dick, needle dick, needle dick.
Yeah. And he came up, man, you did great yesterday. I'm like, thank you. He goes, you know, we can't play you, right? And it was just like, because I was a walk-on and I earned a scholarship, and there's kids ahead of me, the way it works, you know, who were scholarship players, and there's just like politics into it. I just remember like, that was like kind of the first like business thing where I was like,
that's trash.
But I don't get it.
Yes, the token narcissist response of, oh, it was the politics, man. I was one of the best players on the team, but the politics really held me back. It would be bad enough if that was the only thing he claimed, but it gets worse. Brendan Schaub actually goes on to blame race for his lack of success in football.
Yeah.
But I was the only white guy with all black dudes, and my coach was black. I remember breaking down film on Missouri or someone like that, and they had a white running back, and the coach goes, I don't get it, man. White guys just can't do what black guys can do. He goes, I would never play that kid. I was like, oh, I'm fucked, man. I'm super fucked.
That's trash.
It was awful. So
it's kind of ironic that the guy whose whole comedy set is about mocking other races is actually blaming racism for his lack of success in football.
But I remember it would just put these chips on my shoulder.
Oh, he just made a Pringle reference.
Pro day at University of Colorado, I got ready for and just balled out. And then I got an invite to the Buffalo Bills.
So let's talk about his Buffalo Bills days. Brenda claims that he made the Bills practice squad, but here's the thing. If you look at the Bills personnel losses for that year, he's nowhere to be found. So either I'm mistaken or he was just a tryout player, since teams typically don't sign them. They just go to the facility to do tryouts, and after that, if the team likes a player, they'll sign them to the practice squad. In this case, he was either asked not to return after the tryouts, or he was never invited in the first place.
Bills alumni here.
So after his glory days with the Bills, Brenda set his sights on Arena Football League by signing with the Utah Blaze. He went on to have a great career for them, where he was released not once, but twice in one season. All in all, Brendan's football career, the way he tells it, just doesn't add up. He was apparently, according to his teammates, without a doubt good enough to play in the NFL. He had one of the best pro days and talked to multiple NFL teams, but never made it in the NFL? Something doesn't add up, so either Brendan Schaub is lying or he's lying. But for the sake of the story, let's just say Brenda conquered all things football and fulfilled his childhood dream. Brendan Schaub would go on to retire from football at the tender age of 24, only to set his sights on becoming the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. And we already know how that story went. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and maybe a comment on what type of videos you would like to see me make. I love dunking on Brenda, so that will never change, but let me know if there's something or someone else I should dunk on. And lastly, if you haven't already, make sure to follow my Instagram page. I post a lot of clips and other silly things on there.
my thing got a little thick there.
It's dicey because you're rolling the dice.